Hello, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of something that nobody asked for, but we were going to do anyway. This is our podcast, System Operators, where we play a bunch of different JRPG, or not JRPG, what am I talking about? Tabletop RPG systems. Listen, yeah, we're all actually just gonna sit here and individually play Final Fantasy VII and just like talk about what we're doing. No, I am the keeper, or the GM, or the Dungeon Master, whatever you want to call him in this. We're playing Monster of the Week, so Keeper is going to be what we're going to call him for now. John or Paladin, no. Don't really know what we're going to go with. Why don't we just use... Do we want to use real names, I guess?
Yeah.
You can use my real name. I don't know.
All right. So, I'm John Henry. I'm the GM slash Keeper. And we're going to do just a quick little character introduction first. So, I'm going to go down the list based off one of the names that I see on Roll20. So, Shelton, you're up first.
My name is Shelton. I am currently playing the character Gabe Santiago. His nickname is Twitch. Most people call him Twitch. He is the Flake playbook. Should I go over like what moves I have?
You just go like a general character like over summary. We'll get into the moves whenever we get into the actual game.
Okay. Twitch. His hair looks like it hasn't been cut in a very long time, but he does like keep his face shaved down, so no facial hair. Kind of pale skin, eyes sunken in, his hair is black, his eyes are dark brown. He looks like he doesn't go outside much during the day, which he does not. He is a paranoid and anxious mess. Twitchy would be the best way to describe him.
Inspired that a character who has the nickname Twitch would be Twitchy.
Yeah. That is one thing. When he's anxious, he has a face twitch. That is important. That is where
he's
he
either
got
that
the
or he's
nickname.
a streamer.
Well, he got the nickname because people are mean, and it stuck in high school and like middle school and stuff.
All right. Up next, we got Blake.
I'm Blake. I'm currently playing Elliot Bishop. He's the Crooked Playbook. He's basically a gang member on the run from his past life at this point. He's not really tall. He's like 5'8". Kind of looks like a gym rat. Shaved head.
Very Jersey Shore.
Yeah. No, like greenish eyes. Usually dresses in just shitty, worn out jeans, t-shirt, boots. Pretty much the only thing nice about him is his car.
Cars. He's got two of them.
Oh no, he has a shitty Ford Ranger and
Yes, sorry.
a 69 Pontiac Firebird.
Hell yeah.
He's got multiple cars, but for the record, only one of them is nice.
Only one of them is
Yeah.
nice. Don't
One
get
of them's
confused.
on the verge of breaking down all the time.
I mean, you run that thing till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we have Mallory. Mal, what's your character about?
Hey, I'm Mal. My character's name is Catalina's Cat McMurphy. She's the monstrous playbook, more specifically a half werewolf. She's very much so a sports lesbian. She's very confident. She's about 5'6". She's got hair similar to Rogue, except her blonde goes through both sides of the front of her hair, like a full frame. And she commonly wears very outdoorsy clothes. Naturally her eyes are yellow, however she masks them in public with blue contacts to give more of a green look. She's also very angry.
Very angry all the time.
Yeah, just kind of trying to quell it, but doesn't always work in her favor.
All right. Megan, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Megan. I play Sarah Anderson. She is the Spooky. Sarah is a 26-year-old archaeology grad student. She recently got back from a grant trip to Egypt, and she brought back this cursed amulet who has a pharaoh in it. She used to be really fun and cute and sweet, but that's probably not going to last for much longer.
No.
Probably not. We'll see how that goes.
That's what happens when you're possessed.
So Sarah might still be that way, but how much of Sarah remains, we will see. And lastly, we have Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I am doing the Spellslinger playbook. My character's name is Sean O'Theed. People call him Seggy. He looks like a young Gene Wilder. So super handsome, but you're not sure why. He wears old-fashioned clothes. He's generally quite well put together until any sort of stress hits him, and then he starts panicking. But like in normal social standings, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He has really sharp, piercing blue eyes, and it's just generally a good laugh of a character.
Speaking of Final Fantasy VII, he's got them straight up Mako eyes.
Yes, the game I have played.
All right, that is the character introductions out of the way, and so we're gonna go into. We've actually played one session of this because we wanted to play because we're all kind of very new to this system, specifically the Monster of the Week system, and so in order to get used to it and kind of get a feel for it, we played a game of it that we thought was maybe going to be a one shot, but we loved it so much that we decided to make literally an entire podcast out of it. So unfortunately, we don't have the first episode recorded, but I can do a quick summary. The game takes place in Wellspring, South Carolina, a small university town in the middle of nowhere, which the pride of the district is obviously their... the pride of the school is their archaeology division and their life sciences division. That is the main focus in this. If you're not going into archaeology and or trying to become something like a biologist of some sort, you're probably not going to Wellsprings. There are obviously other things to do in Wellsprings. There's a couple of notable locations, as you can see on the map here. For those maybe who are just listening to this audio, I'll go ahead and read them out. There are a couple of locations. The go-to hangout for our gang is E = M cheese squared, the bagel joint, down on Main Street, followed up by just down the street there is the archaeology building, the McMurphy building. The Barnes building is a little bit further away, and it is the life sciences building. We've got Rowan Johnson, which is the theater department. We have the Blue and Gold Elephant, which is the parking deck that Twitch works at. We've got the Chuckle Bucket, a local comedy sort of dive bar-esque situation. We've got Twitch's apartment, which I don't think we ever actually fully came up with a name. What is Twitch's apartment's name?
It is... God, I can't even remember what we decided on. I think it was like Golden Living or something like that.
Based on the it was the mascot, like the elephant or whatever.
Yeah, so it was like Golden Living or something like
Golden
that.
Living.
Golden elephant.
Let's go
With
with
like a golden elephant.
well,
It's
so
like a golden
purple
elephant.
and gold are the colors of the school, and the
I thought it was the
mascot was
gold
an elephant.
elephant.
I think
Nah,
that was the name of the
it's the
parking
gold-
deck was
it's
the Blue and Gold
gold-
Elephant,
Oh,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
his
yeah.
apartment might just be
Yeah.
Golden Living,
It's
Okay.
Golden Living, yeah.
which is primarily used as a sort of a what's the word I'm looking for
We
here?
have decided
Like,
we have decided
housing,
that it is
school
the-
housing.
like we have decided that it is our like main
It is the de
base of
facto
operations, essentially.
operation center. Yeah.
Twitch got a level up. We got a level up in the first session, and the level up from the Flake playbook that I took is you gain a Haven with 2 options from the Haven playbook or from the Expert playbook. So we have a panic room and a lore library, and the lore library is a corkboard like a crazy person has.
Then we've got Elliot's apartment, which does not have a name yet either, next to, which is a duplex, which is next to the Emerald Estates trailer park.
That's
Yeah, it's literally like 500 square feet next to the shittiest trailer park in town.
And that's what we got. What is Elliot's apartment's name? Does it deserve a name? I think everything deserves a name.
Let's see, it's right at that junction of the close to the river there, so it'd probably be called like the Waters or something.
The Waters, I like it. So we're gonna
Just
go
like
with
a
that.
set of 6 duplexes that are only slightly better than the trailers across the street.
Mm-hmm. And yet,
Only
like,
slightly.
and yet, the people that live there think that they are significantly superior.
Oh yeah,
like if you took like quality of like a bad like an Emerald Estates-esque trailer park and you made them apartments instead. It's like same quality, but they're
Yeah.
apartments instead of trailers.
But instead of being stuck in trailers, they are just stacked on top of each other at a duplex.
yeah.
yeah.
All right. And so that's all the locations that we've got so far. So with those locations in mind, let's get to what happened last time. At the very beginning, there was nothing, and then there was light. No, that's too far. Let's try again. Let's get back to the beginning. Maybe a little bit closer to when the actual story started. Sarah and Kat were walking on their way back to school. This is shortly after Sarah has gotten back from her expedition, and she is wearing her amulet, one of the pieces that she's planning on studying to present for her doctorate. Kat, who was a short-lived flame of Sarah's, sees her coming back and has been kind of getting ghosted by Sarah for some reasons, one of which being that Sarah now fully believes that everybody's out to get her amulet. And so Kat was trying to figure out what was going on since Sarah just kind of like made it back, and Sarah dodged the question and ran away. Kat went to E=M cheese squared, where she met Sean, who ordered an everything bagel, much to Kat's surprise, because you could do that? You could just order everything on a bagel? What?
You do it in most shops. You just go and go, I have everything, please.
And Sean, being who he was, said a couple of things that, for most other people would be completely and totally, like, normal to say. He mentioned that he was going to be doing a show at the Chuckle Bucket, and that he is not a musician, a magician. And he said something, I think, like, maybe slightly derogatory to,
No, it's a bar that I work at. So
That's
I
right.
realized, if I'm inviting you, how old are you?
And Kat took offense to being asked her age and flew off the handle. They were both kicked. Well, I think Sean left, and then Kat was shortly kicked out of the establishment by the management after that.
It was a polite kick out. It happens like once a week, maybe every
it's
other
just
week.
it's just like, okay, Kat, sorry, like you got to go. You're doing your thing. Like, I can't have you doing your thing here.
Exactly.
Then we met up with Twitch, who was working at his job at the Blue and Gold Elephant, which is the parking garage.
It's a parking garage. He's a parking garage attendant at day, and at nighttime he is like a crazy private investigator. And by private investigator, I mean he gets his nose in business he should not.
A self-proclaimed private investigator. We know that is going to end well. Where he actually ended up seeing Elliot, who was kind of driving by and trying to just get a scope of things that were going on. Elliot realized that Twitch was giving him the stink eye through a magazine, like he had cut out the holes of the eyes in a magazine and was looking through, but it was like the Sports Illustrated, like the swimsuit edition, so it was like
from 2000.
Oh, that's right, it was a Game Informer, that's what it was.
A Game Informer from 2012.
Yeah, so he was looking through like the dude from
It's like Sky. Who said it was like Sky?
Yeah, that's right. It was the Dragonborn's eyes. Yeah, that's what it was. He had the Dragonborn's eyes cut out.
In true Elliot fashion, he went into the ticket booth
with him.
This
did not go over.
one-person-sized ticket booth.
Yeah, that's going to end well.
After a very short and brief encounter, Twitch eventually managed to get him outside of the ticket booth. And then we had like a proper conversation. I don't even remember what we talked about. What it was like.
I was asking about like if you'd seen a particular cop.
Oh yeah. It was
snooping around.
It was about the cop Dick Hardwood, who's following
his
you.
actual name. His name is not Richard. His parents were assholes and named him Dick Hardwood.
Yeah, and then you asked me about like if there's anything you need to be worried about in town, and I was like, you need to be fucking worried about everything around town.
Oh yeah, we should probably be mentioning at the very beginning, Twitch sort of connected the dots and realized that people in the archaeology department were going missing. Only to show up days later, having no recollection of having been missing and showing no signs of any like weirdness.
Which basically informed Elliot of this nasty business. It was like, hey, some crazy shit going on, dude. You should watch out for yourself.
At which point, Sean, having, done his deal with the sandwich, realized that he recognized Twitch as he was walking by, because he ended up saving Twitch from a particularly nasty bunch of individuals when Twitch was doing what he does best, which is getting in trouble.
Being where
and
he
so
shouldn't be.
Sean, being the good man that he is, was just double checking and making sure that Twitch was staying out of trouble. To which Twitch was like, "Hey, there's some weird stuff going on," and Sean convinced him to go with him to the archaeology department to try and like ask some questions directly. And to do so, he convinced him by giving him half of his everything bagel.
And it was very convincing bagel.
Well, Twitch
The bagel.
hadn't eaten that morning, so it was a thing.
He was running late. He woke up a little bit late. He was running late. He'd skipped breakfast.
Blood sugar was getting a little low.
Yeah.
We cut back
needed that bagel.
to Sarah, who had spent the morning at class. Who had spent the morning in her class, which is mostly just other graduate students who are practicing their, like, you know, doing their study on what they got back from their joint effort with their sister school in Egypt. Nobody could make heads or tails of this one tablet. It was in a different language that nobody could quite read, and they were trying to figure it out. Sarah couldn't read it either, and one of her classmates, Chad, who was formerly on the football team whenever he was in undergrad, got his hands on the tablet, dropped it on accident, but it was very quickly caught by Sarah, who was able to put it back without it, you know, shattering or otherwise being in danger. Jump cut to Sean and Twitch making their way in, disguising themselves as a father and son duo, where Twitch was super interested in archaeology. They ask Sarah a couple of questions, and Sean, being the wizard that he is, uses his magic to understand a language he couldn't originally comprehend via use of a magnifying glass, right? It was like you had like a magnifying glass, or like a small like looky lens.
It was just like a piece of broken glass.
Oh, it was just a piece of broken glass, that's what it was. And when he looked through the piece of broken glass, he was able to find out that the tablet was a summoning ritual for something known as the Faceless Man.
Terrifying.
And that there was an amulet that would transfer the owner of the pharaoh's soul into the person who wore the amulet. That very same amulet is being worn by Sarah Anderson. When all the talk of souls started and they decided to leave, Chad kind of like stopped them and asked them what they knew about souls in a very strange way. And after very aggressive way, and after not willing to like divulge information several times, Chad literally like choke gripped Twitch into the air. Some altercations happened. Specifically, Elliot shows up out of nowhere and like pulls out his shotgun. And
My favorite part about that, by the way, was Elliot pulled up and his first thing he said was, "Get your hands off my son." After we had already been telling everybody that Psyche was my dad's. Fucking Elliot pulls up and is like, "Get your hands off my son."
To which Chad then sprints at inhuman speeds away from the scene. We cut over to Kat, who has just gotten out of class with one of her classmates who was complaining about it being far too cold in the auditorium that they were in, but it was like 73 degrees in the auditorium, and somehow that was far too cold. So that was weird, and shortly after they were released, the student, later known as Lance, kind of perked up and just started running as well, where Chad and Lance were actually able to eventually meet up. Kat was able to use her peak athleticism to keep up with Lance enough to confront the two. Chad grew like inhuman, like bare knuckle, like brass knuckles out of his bones, and Lance's entire like forearm turned into scythe blades.
Scyther!
And to which they immediately attacked Kat. Kat then used her monster abilities to rip out the throat of Chad, taking him out of the fight. And as Lance was about to land a good hit, Elliot was able to, with the help of Sarah and Sean, who were giving him directions to where they were going, because Sarah came outside after the commotion and was convinced to get into the car with Elliot. Or she wanted to get into the car with Elliot because she wanted to figure out how to help. they make their way.
I think she mostly did it because she wanted answers, and like we
That
didn't
is
have
also
time
true.
to answer her questions.
For a very
at the
good reason,
time.
yes.
Yeah.
And so they were able to make their way to the scene of the crime just in time for Elliot to pull out his shotgun and blast Lance in the back. But they have now fired a gun on campus, sirens go up, everybody piles into the Pontiac, and they scream out of there back to the Blue and Gold Elephant. They are able to ditch the car there. Elliot, Sean, whose arm got dislocated during the process, was required medical attention, and so they took him and Kat, who had some pretty bad scratch marks from Lance on her back to Golden Living, which is
Twitch's
apartment, where they met up with your
my fucking snitch neighbor Miles.
Yeah, your snitch neighbor Miles, who was not like very cool with you having more than like 2 people over, but like you were able to convince him not to care.
Yeah,
he left.
I had to burn a luck point for that, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Which we'll get into the systems in just a second as well, but all of that happened, and shortly after that, Sarah went to heal Sean because she remembered an old, ancient Egyptian healing ritual, and was able to heal Sean during his removal of, that's right, Lance launched his entire forearm, and it embedded itself in Sean's back.
Yeah. It wasn't his back, it was his forearm. Like it relocated his shoulder, but he had a giant blade stuck through it.
Yep. And so they were able to heal the damage that he took while they pulled the blade out. But doing so activated the amulet enough for the pharaoh inside to take over Sarah for a moment. She was eventually able to regain her own will, but that is about where we left off. Oh, and we ended up deciding, we were looking around, and it turns out that Sarah was friends with one of the other students that went missing. We know that Chad and Lance both went missing before that, and we found out after using Farsight, using magic to look at the scene of the crime, that the 2 that were, what we assumed were dead, turned into piles of sand, with masks in the shapes of Chad and Lance's faces sitting on tops of the piles.
And if I recall correctly, this didn't happen at night. This was like 2 in the afternoon or something.
Yes, this was in the middle of the day.
I think we decided, Sarah said that she could get me or Twitch and Segi into the archaeology building so we could look at some the old bone tools and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Sarah also had that. It was like
her
a study
friend
date
Rachel.
with
her friend
yeah.
Rachel went missing, and came back and has set up a study session with Rachel to try and figure out what's going on, under the guise of it being a study session. So, I think that's everything to catch up. That is a lot that happened in the first episode, but that was also like a 4-hour session. So,
Yeah.
these are going to be cut down into like 1 minute or into 1 hour episodes, which we're probably just going to release this wrap up, this opening bit as one little thing. So, we may
something
just
separate from the rest.
Yeah, and then we may just release 3 actual episodes that are a little bit longer than an hour just to make up for it. But that's going to be the end of the wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for listening to episode 0 of our new podcast. I know it was a lot to recap for the start of the series, but each recap going forward will be much faster. We're all having a blast recording these, so we hope you enjoyed the story we have to tell. We're going to try and release new episodes every week, depending on how much recording we can get done on a regular basis. But until next time, I've been your keeper, and remember, thinking the boogeyman is after you is only paranoid if it isn't true.